When he found out that my wife had the same type of cancer he had, he was one of the first people to reach out to me and to offer help. He started giving me advice on what I could expect from the chemo and how I could help as the caregiver. And I, in turn, would talk to my wife about what Stuart would do. Every time she saw him on camera, you'd see a noticeable pickup in her spirit, in her energy, and in her ambition just to live longer and to fight it another day.
My family was moving from Connecticut to Arizona to be closer to my show in Los Angeles, and the moving trucks were at my house, and Stuart was there with his girlfriend Kristen to say goodbye to us. And my 10-year-old son, Nicholas, had to say bye to his best friend across the street, and he came back sobbing, leaving his best friend in the world. And Stuart said, "I got it." And he took Nicholas aside, and he just sat down with him. And he described when he moved as a kid and his best friend and how he handled it as a 10-year-old boy moving away from his best friend. And he spent 20 minutes sitting there with Nicholas, helping him feel better. Stuart was at my house for 3 hours that day, and I knew he didn't look right. He was in pain. He could hardly stand up, but he did it, and he sat there for my kid.
We continue to honor our friend Stuart Scott today. He passed away yesterday at the age of 49 years old, and we would like to thank everyone for the outpouring of support for our ESPN family. And Stuart continues to be remembered around the sports world. As a matter of fact, this is what we saw from the Virginian Pilot sports section today. This is right on the front page. They put some of Stuart's best lines, some, because there were so many of them, but he put some of them in their headlines. You had Romo as cool as the other side of the pillow. You also call the Monarchs butter because they're on a roll. That was one of my favorites. And then, of course, you had a booyah, and it was the kind of impact that Stuart made. And it was on sports, it was on journalism, it was on pop culture, and it was on us, on his colleagues. And that includes past and present.
And I cannot believe that I'm now sitting here on television reporting to you the news that I heard about 10 minutes ago. And that Stuart Scott has died.
If anybody was more full of life, I haven't met him or her.
Well, I remember one time doing the matchup show, he said, "Hey, Merrill, when the camera's on you, it's yours. It's your stage. Nobody else's but yours." And if you think about Stuart Scott, when that bad boy was on him, it was his. It was all his.
When that red light went on, he was on top of his game, always, until the very end.
I said, "Stuart, you remember that one alley-oop in Boston?" Stuart said, "The one where GP just chucks it up and looks away?" And I said, "Right." And then Kemp flies in and smashes it. Stuart said, "Yeah." He said, "That's you and me, kid." And that is the best way that I can explain what it was out here when it was right. One guy throws it up. The other guy went and got it. Nobody cared who scored because we figured that we all looked pretty good if it worked. And I'd like to think from time to time it did. Stuart Scott Van Pelt.
I love this man. I still love this man. And the fact that he has passed away is absolutely mind-boggling. And I know there are many people out there who are battling cancer right now and Stuart would want you to know to keep fighting. Keep fighting, and that he didn't lose this battle of cancer. He fought it as bravely as he possibly could. And as you go to bed tonight, flip your pillow over to the cool side.
So that was a reaction certainly from people who have worked with Stuart at various stops in the past. We had reaction from people that interviewed Stuart, and here's Tiger Woods. Stuart wasn't covering heroes and champions. It was the other way around, thinking of my friend and his daughters. Shelley Smith, who's fighting a cancer battle of her own right now, saying, "I now fight the fight, my two good friends," referencing Brian Burwell, recently passed away, and certainly Stuart Scott would love to still have. "Because of them, I have no fear." And then Jeremy Schaap, sharing a work-related memory of Stuart, first worked with Stu covering the 96 NBA playoffs. He was so excited he was literally skipping down the street. I'll never forget that. That's just a small sampling of the outpouring of emotion on Twitter. This now is also a small sampling of the reaction from the sports world. We heard from players and from head coaches in a variety of sports yesterday reacting to the passing of our friend Stuart Scott.
We lost a football game, but we lost more this morning. I think one of the best members of the media I've ever dealt with, Stuart Scott, passed away. That's more real than a football game. You guys lost a great ally and a friend. We lost one too.
It's a blow to all of us. A lot of us grew up watching Stu, and he just transcended everything. And it's a huge loss to the sports community.
I certainly grew up wanting to be on SportsCenter just to, have him comment on a highlight or two of mine.
For every boy who watches SportsCenter, who's glued to the TV and loved watching Stuart Scott, I think you think of a pioneer in the industry.
You want to celebrate, Stuart for what he stood for, and what he stood for was awesomeness, man.
Stuart was one of the greatest human beings that you'll ever meet. He's obviously a talented reporter and commentator, and people loved watching him and hearing his voice.
He's really changed the vernacular of sports and add such a kind of a hip hop culture, to the sports game.
He brought a style to ESPN, and to me, it's been imitated. And when that happens, that means that you're pretty much on top.
Broke my heart to hear that, but for you, man, I know you're out there. We're gonna stay as cool as the other side of the pillow.
Michael Jordan issued a statement yesterday saying, "I'm so sad to hear the news that Stuart has passed away. He was truly a trailblazer in his field, and by refusing to change his style, made himself into a star. I always enjoyed sitting down to talk to him, but to me, he wasn't just a broadcaster. He was an old friend who I'd known since college. He fought so hard against cancer, and I hoped he'd win the battle. I send my sincerest condolences to his daughters, Taylor and Sydney, and his family and friends. Booyah, my brother." SportsCenter will be right back.